Hello again everybody, welcome back to Test Flight in the F-86 Sabre. It's time to step forward to the next sortie. This one's going to be a lot more complicated. It's going to involve takeoff, landing, navigation. I'm going to have a combination of day and night mission. And I'm also going to take a wingman along so that I can check out the air-to-air functions of the A4 gun sight against a stationary target and make sure that I'm ready and know how it works before I try it against a maneuvering MiG-15 in a later video. So, a lot going on here, but this mission is really intended to help me just be a building block before I get to the weapons employment mission. Because at this point, I have not really had the aircraft off the ground other than initially in that first video where I got a basic feel and just had a look at how it felt in the air. So before I can get to air to ground, where I'm going to be diving at high dive angles, high speeds, I'm going to be maneuvering the aircraft aggressively, I need to know how the aircraft is going to react, because if you just jump right into very complex tasks in the aircraft, you're going to be task saturated. You're just going to be struggling to figure out what's going on constantly, and when you don't really know what's going on and you're trying to maneuver the aircraft and trying to do a whole lot of things at once, then you're never going to get it right. You're never going to perform, and it's going to be frustrating, and it's going to not be enjoyable. So that's why I'm taking this as a building block approach, using this as a stepping stone to get to more and more complex tasks. So what I have set up is a mission that is going to just take me on a circuit up to MLV, Mineral Line Vodi Airfield. So I'm going to take off from Sanaki Kolki, turn left, and I'm going to use the navigation equipment on the aircraft to guide on an NDB out here, transmitting on 525 kilohertz. I'll then turn right, head to another NDB at 995 kilohertz, turn to another NDB, and then turn to final for MLV. I'm going to land there, refuel, take off, fly to Nauchik. I have another NDB that I can guide on out here. I'll do a touch and go at Nauchik, guide on an NDB at Kashari, touch and go at Kutasi, back to Sanaki Kolki for landing. So by the time that I get going, probably sunset right about the time that I landed MLV, and then definitely night by the time that I get back to Sanaki Kolki. So I'm going to get a little bit of day and night experience on this one and just see how it looks and see, just do something different, I guess. Okay, so first thing that I need to worry about is computing my takeoff and landing data, because I'm going to have 2 fuel tanks and I'm going to have otherwise clean aircraft. So I'm not really sure what the rotation speed, what the takeoff speed, and what my final approach speed needs to be. So I have a means of calculating that, and I can do that by going to the total weight. Right here, I have 100% fuel, and with this configuration, my total weight is 16,257. So I'm just going to make a note of that real quick. And using that weight, I'm going to calculate all these speeds that I need to hit during the takeoff and landing. I'm going to do this once I get into the cockpit. I do have the means to do it right here, but I'll be able to show you what I'm doing when I'm in the cockpit. So 16K. I'll just round it down to 16,000 pounds because I'm going to burn off that 257 pounds as part of the startup and taxi procedure. And like I said, I am taking a wingman with me that's in the same config, so that is really all the data. Well, I take that back. There is one more piece of data that I'll show you right here. And I was mentioning before that I couldn't figure out a way to come up with the frequency that corresponds to each dial on the UHF command radio. And that's done through the mission planner. So if you come to radio presets, I can see that channel 1 through 18 are preset to a specific frequency in megahertz. So what I did on this one is come down here to, like, for example, to Sanaki Kolki, the airfield that I'm taking off from. If I click on the airfield, I get the tower frequency up here. The tower frequency is 261 megahertz. So if I go back to my flight and go back to the radio tab, I can see that I had to do this myself, but I can see that on channel 2 I have 261 megahertz selected. So I need to select channel 2 if I want to talk to the tower at Sanaki Kolki. 225 megahertz is the frequency that my flight is on, so if I'm talking to my wingman, I'll be on channel 1. And then I have it noted as I go what the other airfield frequencies are. I think it's channel 10 and channel maybe 16 as we get going. But we'll see that once we get into the cockpit. But I just wanted to show that before we got into the air. And with that, that is all I have for the mission plan on this. We'll be able to see the rest of it very, very specifically what I'm going to be doing once I am in the air. So let me pause and step to the aircraft. Okay, and in the cockpit, the first thing that I need to do, and this is something that I would normally do as part of mission planning, but I wanted to be able to show this as I did it. I have this table, or set of tables right here, that's going to allow me to calculate the speeds that I can expect for different phases of the takeoff. So, I have 16,000 pounds as my expected takeoff weight. I have two tables, one for an F-86 with no stores, one for an F-86 with stores. I do have drop tanks installed out there on my wing. I swear I do. Yeah, I can see them there. And 16,000 pounds. Nose wheel liftoff speed is going to be expected to be 120. Initial star warning is going to be 128. Takeoff 134. And what these mean are, during the takeoff roll, what I'm going to do is at 120 knots, I'm going to pull back gently on the stick, just enough to get the nose wheel barely lifted off of the ground. At 128 knots, that's the speed that I can be sure that if I rotate early or if I get airborne early, I'm not going to stall below this airspeed. But I want to just hold it with the nose barely off the ground until I hit 134 knots. At that point, I will fully rotate and fly the aircraft off the runway. So that's the takeoff data. Landing data, I would expect to be down to, okay, if I burn off, let me see, I'll have 2,800 pounds plus minus tanks. I'm going to ditch the tanks, I believe, before landing. So I would expect about a 13,000 pound gross weight on landing. Final approach speed will be 140, touchdown speed 116, and just as a guide, I can expect a stalled onset at about 107 knots. So I don't have that much margin between my stall speed and my touchdown speed, but as you can see, these final approach speeds they're actually a lot higher than I was expecting for the F-86. So it is flowing at a fairly significant final approach speed. Okay, so let me go ahead and get things going here. And like I said last time, this is going to go a lot quicker. I'm not going to do the detailed procedures because I already know how to do the procedures now. And now it's just a matter of going in and making it happen. I did make a small modification to my checklist here. I kind of highlighted different sections. You'll see how it works as we go, but the stuff in red is sort of what I would call critical procedures, where if I don't get these right, something bad could happen, and they're just kind of broken up into little mini sections. They're highlighted if it involves crew chief interaction. It's something that I always just kind of, for my purpose, modify as I go. So let's go ahead and run through this. Okay, interior check, stick grip, got it, belt, seat, got it, rudders, got it, armament switches. I know it needs to go off and off. Got them. Throttle off, landing gear down, engine, master, ignition, battery switches off, off, off. Got it. Speed brake normal. External power connected. So let me go ahead and call the crew chief. F8, F2, F1.
Chief, turn on the ground power.
Okay, well that's going. Or once that comes up, I'll get my landing gear position indicators on so I can do a quick check of those.
Ground power is now on.
Okay, good gear. Oxygen reg on. Good quantity. Switch set, got it, and oxygen, NIG, reg valve, not there, I need to cross that one off. Okay, left breaker's in, okay, I need to go floor. Okay, I wish it was the opposite, I wish left click went floor, right click went defrost. Okay, floor, auto, set, 2.75, normal, got it, center, guarded, normal, center, and I'm just going around just doing off, safe, and normal. I don't have to read step for step anymore on this. Okay, all tanks off. I'm going to leave that in all tanks off until I get the engine started, at which point I'm going to put that to inboard on and jet because my drop tanks are on the inboard station. And once I do that, it's going to apply bleed air to the tanks to help pressurize the tanks, and then the tanks will be able to feed into the main fuel system. Okay, landing lights. I'm going to go ahead and do a check here. I'm going to extend, actually, the landing lights, and I'm going to turn on the pitot heat. And this is going to be interaction with the crew chief. Okay, verifying landing lights extend. And, okay, we'll say that the pitot heat is operational for now. And I will just leave these. Actually, I'll leave them extended, because I know I'm going to need them here in a second. Okay, anti-ice extended, got it. Okay, normal, off, set. Okay, I'll do my check of the engines up here. I've figured this out. You go this switch on, wait a few seconds, and then you get the lights on and switch off. So that's what that switch is there for. Okay, so coming down, master off, off. Okay, okay, got it. Okay, I will go ahead and turn this on and get some navigation and communications going. So I'm going to go transmit, receive. On position 1, which is the position for my wingman, I will go to position 2. That's the position for Sanaki Kolki airfield that I'm at. I'll go to... And the way this works, I've read up on this a little bit, but I'll go to antenna, or actually I'll go to loop first. I will tune to my first frequency, which is going to be 525. So I need to select the correct band. Tune to 525. Okay, which is right there. And then I would adjust the loop setting to get if I needed to tweak it up a little bit, if it was a little bit down in the weeds, I could use the loop setting to tweak that up a little bit. I'm pretty sure that's not modeled, and I can just go straight to compass and verify that NDB, that I get a good point on my radio compass towards that NDB, which I know to be often to my back left. Okay, so that's looking good, and I'll just leave that on and turn the volume down. That's not the volume knob, is it? Okay, let me get back to 525. There's the volume knob. I will turn this down so that I'm not listening to the Morse code frequency coming through. Okay, so still coming around. Okay, off, 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 breakers in. Okay, and I'm in a good config for engine startup. So catching up in the checklist. Okay, got that. Okay, totalizer. Okay, here's some checks right here that I had highlighted to give me a reminder to do these. Okay, in, I'll go to out, verify that the quantity now just shows full. Go back to in, and that's going to kick in the densitometer and give me a fuel quantity in pounds as opposed to just plain old volume. Okay, now altimeter, about 33-foot field elevation, so let me turn this down just a touch. Set it for the field elevation, good to go. Okay, and let's see here, I wanted to, okay, clock set, 7:20, or 7:10, 19:10 I should say, it's evening here now. Okay, directional indicator, got it. Attitude, got it. Okay, that's good enough. And verify mechanical side cage, I believe I missed that one. That's how I use the checklist. I perform the checks, perform the steps, and then go back in and verify them. With the exception of these, I guess, safety critical checks, I do these a little bit more deliberately just to make sure that I'm catching them. Okay, instrument and power, alternate and norms. Then go inverter to alternate, light on, back to norm, light off. Okay, those everything down there, handles in, off, safe, and normal on my armor control is verified again. Okay, got it. I didn't do my flight controls, let me verify good movement. Okay, got it. And at this point, I'm ready to start the engine. So yeah, like I said last time, yeah, it's a lot easier once you have the procedure down and you know what you're doing and when you know what you're looking at. That was the entire point of that entire rigmarole with the last series of videos. Okay, now we're ready to start the engine. This is where I want to be a little bit more deliberate, though. Okay, verify. Throttle off. Got it. Engine master on. Okay, starter momentarily, then battery. Okay, so let's go start. Battery, waiting for 3% RPM. Okay, one more. 3% RPM, got it. Outboard, ignition. 6%. Idle. Okay, good EGT. Good fuel flow coming up. Got good RPMs coming up, and my oil pressure. Within 1 minute, I should have this off the bottom 0 peg, and I should get 1 PSI. Okay, now at this point, I want to go ahead and set my drop tank selector switch to inboard, on, and jet. This is another switch where it's the opposite of, I would expect the left click to go, anyway. Inboard, on, and jet, and I want to leave it there. And look at that, and since I don't have an outboard tank on, I get that outboard on light. So that's a good indication that I have nothing out there on my outboard fuel tank station. Okay, I'm not going to get a light on when these inboard tanks deplete, so I'm just going to have to watch, and when my fuel gauge starts to go down, that's when I'll know that the inboard tanks have depleted, and I'll know that I need to either jettison them, or if I just want to take them with me with increased drag, that's fine too. Okay, external power, I can go ahead and have that disconnected because I have enough power, or I have generator power coming from the engine now, so let me go F11. I wish that did not automatically come up. That always just kills immersion for me when that comes up. Okay, F11. Okay, let's go ahead and turn off ground power,
Turn
please.
off the ground power. Copy.
Okay, and verifying generator warning light is out.
Ground power is
I'm going
now
to push my throttle up, however, till I get to about 40, not that high. I'll pull it back to about 45% RPM. That's going to verify, or going to guarantee, that my generator is outputting enough voltage or enough current, is being able to be drawn from it. I think is probably a more accurate way to look at it, that it's going to be able to power all of the systems on the aircraft. So you have to push the throttles up just a touch. About 45% will do it for you. And yeah, okay, now I've got the engine warning, generator warning light is out. Okay, now we'll go through a series of ground tests. With the throttle at idle, okay, hydraulic pressure gauge selector verified normal. I need to go reset on my flight control switch, reset, norm, and my alternate light on is now off. Okay, let me do a quick check of my normal flight control system. Okay, normal, move, verify. After 5 seconds, return to within the green, got it. Alternate. Okay, let me go flight control switch alternate. Okay, light on. Flight control check. Okay, down 1500 psi, and that should within 5 seconds come up to 2550 to 3500, 3200, but that's taking a little bit longer than I would expect, but I'll call that good. And flight control switch, reset. And back to norm, light off. Okay, let me do a quick check of my manual override switch, alternate, or I should say lever. I'm going to hold it in the reset position, pull out on the alternate lever, going to do a flight control check. Okay, pressures are 3050 to 4000 like I would expect. Control switch, flight control, switch to normal, alternate on. Okay, I've got to get the, I still haven't got the sequence on this down. Okay, so I'm at the out position, control switch, move, verify surface movement, flight control switch to normal. Okay, this is where I'm going to be careful. Okay, I need to left click to take it out of reset and into normal. Got it. And I would have expected there an alternate on, warning light to be on. That would have shown me that this had worked correctly and that it was now on the alternate flight control system, but yeah, that light's not on, and I can't even get a test on that. I don't know, something's just screwy with the way that this is implemented right now. But it is an open beta, and plus, I mean, this is the kind of detail that I would not necessarily expect to be modeled. I mean, this is, it's just neat stuff to do, but I don't expect this to always work exactly the way that it is called out in the real flight manual. So we'll call that check good. An emergency override handle in. Okay, got that. Pressure 2550 to 3200 psi. But I'm going to go back up to the normal position on my flight control hydraulic gauge and call that good. Let me do a quick check of the utility system. Go to utility on the gauge. I'm going to retract my speed brakes. And you can see as I do that, the level goes down. And okay, that's normal. Okay, retracted, back to the center position on my speed brake switch, and back up. Okay, got it. Back to normal on that. Load meter or voltmeter check. Okay, good voltage. Aha, okay. 20, that's a little bit higher than it was last time. I think this is going to, I was noting last time that it was at 24 volts, and that confused me because I was expecting 28.5. I believe I see how this is going to work now. I believe the voltage is going to increase as I increase my throttle. Let me do a check of that real quick. Just bump it up slightly. Yeah, the voltage increases as my throttle increases. That is actually not what I would expect to happen. There should be that should be governed by a voltage regulator that should keep it from fluctuating like that. I'll take this. I'll take it to mean that this gauge is getting pure output from the generator. Actually, that's probably the case. This gauge is getting pure output from the generator, and that the voltage regulator is behind this, because you don't want fluctuating voltage being fed to the systems. You want steady voltage. So I'll take this as just coming pure off the generator, and I'm only at about 20% of my load that the generator is capable of, which is perfect. Okay. But I'm going to put a break in here and come back next time with the taxi, take off, and climb out. And as you can see, that started out last time around. That was about an hour or so to get to this point. This time it's down to 10 minutes. Next time, my prediction is it's going to be 3 to 4 minutes from jumping into the cockpit to taxi time. So it's just through repetition and building habit patterns. Every time it's going to get easier. So thanks again for watching. I will see you next time.